Well, hello, my many parking money friends. We really appreciate you joining us again this time around, and we look forward to everything coming up. My name's Mike Rogers, and I'm your host every time. This is my number one guy right here, Brian
Hey
Barr.
guys.
He is he and I have been friends for years, and we have been around these old cars for years, and just love it, love it, love it, and. We are so happy that we are welcoming spring of 2025 because the sun's coming out, the weather's getting nice, the temperatures are getting nice, the convertible tops are going down,
Pollen's
the
going away.
pollen is going away, thank goodness. And suddenly, not all the cars are green,
Yeah,
which is really
exactly.
nice.
Exactly.
Right.
Good. Spring is sprung, the grass
Spring
is
is
riz.
sprung.
I wonder
Yeah.
where the Ferrari is.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of the garage.
It's out of the garage and it's not green anymore. So that's kind of nice. But we, spring is sprung and summertime is around the corner. We're sitting here looking at all of our many things to talk about. And goodness sakes, we just kept coming up with different things going on, different things that have happened in the last few days.
There's a car show or something automotive happening. It feels like every day.
Every day.
Every weekend for sure.
And what's amazed me, and I don't know if it's just I'm just coming to the realization now, or just maybe it happens this time every year and I just don't remember it. But what's amazing to me is just how many events, how many collections, how many car lovers there are out there. And I mean, if you look around, and let me tell you something, it's awfully crowded. We really do appreciate you liking and subscribing, but it's awfully crowded in this genre right now. People talking about cars, talking about cool things they've done with cars, talking about car stories, reasons they've collected cars, cars they've bought in the past and had great fond memories of. And so it's a competitive market right now for the podcast, and we really appreciate you joining us. And please like and share it with your friends. We get a lot of good comments, get a lot of good reviews from the folks that are with us every time. And but Brian, you want to talk about anything special here the last little bit?
Well, the last couple of weeks have been crazy, right? We were together all weekend a couple of weeks ago, but I never saw Mike.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you were over at 10 Tenths for the concourse.
Yeah,
I was over at Auto Fair, which is I will tell you guys, Auto Fair is coming back.
Yeah, I think it is too.
There are more people. There were more cars.
Yeah.
About the same amount of vendors, but we had a really, really good weekend at Alexander Auto.
Oh yeah.
We flipped like 6 of them.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. And I think we went over and visited the introduction of the 10 Tenths Club, which is Rick Hendrick and Marcus Smith's addition they added to that deal over there. And I got to tell you guys, it was over the top. I mean, they have done they have set the thing up to where you don't have to cross over Moorhead anymore because they have a tunnel that goes under Moorhead to get over to it. And it's they're setting it up as a private club, and if you want to join, I mean, nobody knows anything going on to this point. If we can even afford it, I hope we can. But they had some SVRA Trans Am races over there. They built a great little, I think it's 1.2 or 1.1 mile racetrack, and there's a track out in Arizona called Thermal.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Rick Hendrick's bunch, my good friend Dale Ledbetter, who works over there. They've took a lot of cars that they've converted to track cars out to Thermal and sold them to a lot of people living out in that area. And so the people live next to the racetrack. They have access to take their cars out on the track as they see fit. And but it's that kind of facility now. I mean, they've got a big, nice clubhouse. We actually we actually had a car in their concourse. Had a concourse on Saturday, or actually had a race on Saturday morning.
That was a Trans Am.
The Trans Am race, yeah. Or was that Friday morning?
I know they raced both days.
Yeah. I think it was Saturday morning. And then they brought the cars out there for the concourse, and we had this little red Mustang in the show, and it wasn't my pick here of the cars that I'd like to enter, but my good friend Chris Brewer, who who was in charge of putting everything
dude.
together. He said, "I want a muscle car." And I said, "Oh, I got a good muscle car." And so we took it out there. It didn't win. We were hoping it'd do good. It's a great restoration, but it didn't win. But there was the lineup of cars out there for that 10 tenths auto fair was just over the top.
But yeah, I only saw it via pictures. I saw that they
Oh my
had
gosh.
a pair of AMG ones out there.
Yeah, pair of AMG ones.
There
Yeah.
was a vintage 917,
917,
right?
and
35.
the same 917 that bid up to 25 million at Mecum for
Oh, is
Jerry Seinfeld.
that
Wasn't the same car.
Oh, okay.
It was the actual race. That was a movie car. You know,
Okay.
they just carried cameras around on that back
Oh,
then.
okay.
This thing actually won at Le Mans. I mean,
Oh,
it was
man.
over the top.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's $50, $70 million car.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And,
yeah. Those 917s are legendary. Can you imagine how big that thing isn't? Doing
I know.
240 miles an hour.
When you
No kink.
when you see that car, you know, you see the movies and you see the TV shows, and that car looks so big on your TV screen. It is tiny. I'm talking tiny.
That's like when we had Bill here with the
with the Ford GT.
Ford
Yeah,
GT.
how
Like,
small it was.
right, and you got it. I'm not a big guy, and I got in it, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, you probably just don't think about it when
And
you're
that-
driving 200 miles.
And what's crazy is that car in race form was a 12-cylinder air-cooled engine.
Yeah,
You know, nuts. There's no water in that car.
right.
None.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was nuts.
flat fan on top.
Flat fan on top. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And but they had one of them there, one of those there, and
The story is because they had to build 25 of them,
Yeah.
and the legend, I don't know if it is, but they had the FIA there, right?
Right.
And they were rolling the cars out of the building, right? And they had numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a picture of it, right?
yeah,
But you never see all 25 parked together.
yeah, right.
So somebody, and whether it's truth or legend, who knows? But supposedly they're pulling them out of the building and they
And
counting them and then
circling
renumbering them and coming back. It's
Yeah.
like Carol Shelby
Yeah.
repainted the
Yeah.
show car.
Well, you know, Carol Shelby had to do 100 to get the 427s to go
Yeah.
race in FIA in Europe, and had to have 100 cars, and the cars showed up late, the 427s, because he felt like he needed the 427 to compete with the Grand Sport Corvette.
Right.
And so they to get him to race in Europe, he had to pass by the FIA. The FIA appointment was in April. He gets the cars the 1st of January.
Right.
So they had an opportunity to build 51 cars by the end of April. So Colin Comer, the great Colin Comer, his comment was, FIA told Shelby, said, "Take your toys and go home." He couldn't race them. He couldn't race them in Europe.
Yeah.
So they became A production SCCA cars. Did real well.
That's
but,
yeah. Oh, that's funny though. That's a great line.
yeah.
And just think about that. Now Lance, our buddy Lance at Superformance,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
He's making Cobras and Grand Sport replica.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you know that Lance told me this story back? It's been probably a couple years ago. That Arkazora Duntov,
Father of the Corvette.
for the Corvette, he went to his surviving sister-in-law or something, or surviving wife of many years, and got her to sign off on the fact that they could use the Corvette Grand Sport moniker to those cars. And crazy, we went out to California a few years ago and went to we were in Los Angeles, and we were very fortunate and got to go visit Jay Leno's garage, and that was a wild story to begin with, but we got to do it, and so we're there, and my friend Lance, who now has a location in South Florida and Los Angeles for Superformance. He's the founder of Superformance. But so he calls me up, and we're chatting on like a Friday, and he says, "Well, come on, you got to go down to Cars and Coffee with us Saturday morning." I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll come over with you." And he said, "You know, this is the original where Cars and Coffee started."
Yeah, way back.
Yeah, in Orange County, California.
Yeah.
So we go down, and he says, I said, "Well, you've got room for us and all those 2-seater cars you got?" He said, "Oh, I got a car. You got a car you can drive." So we show up. Well, he's got a Daytona coupe, just like that blue and white one sitting right there, and sitting there for us to drive. And then he had next to it a Grand Sport Corvette.
Okay.
So it was funny because we went down in the Cobra and came back in the Corvette. and I nicknamed my wife Debbie, Rev Limiter. because when that Grand Sport Corvette would go over 4,000 RPM, she'd go. I mean, that thing was it was a Lingenfelter Grand Sport Corvette. Oh my God, it was so fast, and we're riding in this crazy Los Angeles traffic, bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
And but boy, I'd back off a little bit, and I'd pop it.
Pop
and
it.
It was
Screaming.
She had scared her to death. I nicknamed her Rev Limiter.
Yeah. But it sounded like the Trans Am guys were having a good time. Did you get a chance to watch any of that? I could hear it from where we were.
Got a chance to see it. God, I'm trying to think. Mike Joy's son.
Yeah.
I can't think of his first name, but he won the race.
Oh, cool.
He was quick. I mean, he was really quick. And,
was Mike racing or no, just his son?
Mike raced in another division, or I forget how they had it broke up, but Mike's son was quick.
Wow.
And Peter Kluth was there, and Peter Kluth races SVRA a lot.
Yeah.
And he had an older Shelby Mustang there. And so he was quick.
That looks like one of the most fun vintage racing series out there.
It really does. And I'm looking around going, see what we can come up with. Yeah, but I need to be back in racing like I need a hold.
Yeah, me too.
But it was a lot of fun. But that concourse was just over the top. It was over the top. I mean, they really, and the crazy part about it was, I mean, it was Rick Hendrick and Marcus Smith. So I told Chris Brewer, I said, the good part about this is this deal will never be underfunded. I promise you that.
Right.
And because he's ran into that 2 or 3 different times.
Oh, yeah.
With different jobs.
Yeah. You think about the weekend, the whole car hobby was in one city. Charlotte. Well,
and I had a conversation with my buddy Dale Ledbetter, and he said he was talking to Mr. H, and he said, there's so many cars around here that will travel 1,000 miles to go to a concourse. He said, why don't we just have the best concourse here?
Yeah.
And he said, most of the people are already here, and he's so right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're kind of putting that deal together along with Auto Fair. And I think the combination of the two just makes Charlotte Motor Speedway and that whole grounds just a got to be place this time of year.
Yeah. What I found interesting is you've got the Concours.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got, arguably the best of the best cars out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go over and find yourself in the Greenfield at Auto Fair.
A taillight for a 36 Chevrolet.
Exactly. So you have the absolute opposite end of the hobby and everything in between. There was a Radwood show at Auto Fair.
Oh, yeah. Haggerty put that up.
Yeah. Which, that was cool.
I want to, in the last year in the Radwood deal that they had last year, I had that little BMW with the drop-down doors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Z1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually won the trophies around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But actually won that class in that car because nobody had ever seen it.
There was a Cressida stretch limousine right-hand drive. There was some really, really neat stuff there. A couple of the K cars were.
But they had that one out at Hendrick Motorsports. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because that was out in the parking lot at Hendrick.
Yeah. I'm not sure who owns that, but I think Rutledge Wood owns that. I think.
Oh, really?
I think because I know he's into this.
He was there.
Well, then that could have
probably
made
sense.
Case.
Yeah.
But and then all the car clubs were in the front of Auto Fair. That was really cool. The main showroom building. You'll like this. They had Elvis's 308 GT4 Dino there. The wedge-shaped Dino.
Yeah.
So the one that he supposterly shot.
You've never heard that? Never heard that.
It was a running good one day, so we shot it. It's like a story I heard, which seems perfect for the King. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems reasonable.
But it was good. There was a big variety of cars out there. We had definitely a good weekend.
Yeah.
But again, I never made it across the street. I got to plan better.
Yeah, you got to plan better. Yeah, come over and that whole 10 Tenths Club. I mean, they threw that thing up in 60 days.
Oh,
All right, 6 months.
Okay.
And they just did phenomenal. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and of course they had it, the right catering group in there, and
Yeah.
the food was
Oh, you know
awesome.
the food's gonna be good.
Yeah, and then they had a deal, and I'll be honest with you, we spent the whole day out there for the concourse, and it wasn't hot, but it was just a little on the warm side, and we were really just kind of wore out. So we leave at 3 o'clock, and we drive an hour back over to Mooresville, take a shower, and go back
Back to the gala.
go back to the gala, and we almost talked ourselves out of going back over there 2 or 3 times. And so we showed back up, and
About that time, we were cracking a cold weather.
Oh,
Going, hot dogs and
yeah.
hamburger.
well, so we show back up, and the who's who of the car collecting business was there. I mean, Canapa was there. I mean, it was everybody.
Yeah, I saw Carini.
Yeah, Carini was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Actually,
Ralph Morano was
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, they were just as nice and friendly as they could be, and so it was very cool. I mean, it was a neat deal, and that's something that they're really trying to get going off here, and I think they see the possibility of really making something like that really go.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know they have spent. I mean, hell, just think what they spent on that bridge across under
Yeah.
Moorhead.
Yeah.
Just to be able to get people over there.
Yeah. It's
It was
was-
unbelievable.
yeah. And the logistics to get that done with the state, the county, the city.
Yeah,
it's gotta-
exactly.
let alone
Exactly.
who's paying for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us now. You had some. Did you go to Pigeon Forge?
Chris went to Pigeon
Chris,
Forge with
that-
Alex.
who's your
Dorado.
partner?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So Chris went up there. Pigeon Forge was good this year. They've changed the format of it a lot.
For all of y'all that don't know,
Yeah.
Pigeon Forge is just across the Tennessee line from here. It's up there and all that bad that you got to go through the really rough places to get to now because
Helene.
of Hurricane Helene. But they have been hot rodders and resto modders have been
For
camping
years.
out up there every spring for years and years and
Yep.
years. And so, what was the report?
So it was a good show. It was a bit dealer centric,
Mhm.
so which was good. We picked up a couple of pieces. That '61 Buick that I showed you a picture of, sweet little
gorgeous
car.
car.
Wish I
In
could.
fact, that was going to we were going to do that this morning. Brian couldn't get here, but we'll do it coming up. He found a '61 Buick. That
Yeah, the
convert-
Buick LeSable convertible.
Oh, it's
It's
gorgeous.
just like that's when this styling was styling.
Oh, no
right?
kidding.
It's,
No kidding.
Aerodynamics. Who cared, right?
Well,
It could-
just like that car we got coming up, that Oldsmobile station wagon.
yeah,
I mean, when I saw that thing for the first time,
yeah,
man,
that
I
Fiesta
was just-
'88.
and the girl knows if you ever get ready to sell it,
Oh yeah, you are. on top of
I'm on
this.
top of the list.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But there's all that kind of stuff up there. You see a lot of neat stuff, but there's things like the Buick are fun to get because you've got so many Mustangs, Camaros, Chevelles. and
oh
everything
yeah,
that trade
tons.
trade
Yeah.
in.
Everybody
got-
think they can do a Chevelle or a Mustang
Exactly.
way better than the next guy,
Yeah,
the last guy.
Exactly. So there's a lot of comps for it. Buick's a little different. in
Yeah,
that.
that's what I love is just the rare stuff.
Yeah, and it's got nailhead in it and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
not, it's just been lowered, right?
Yeah,
And it's on
right.
springs. It's so it just got the right stance and right wheels
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So
And that doggone Oldsmobile station wagon. What I love about this car is you think about the tailgate on a station wagon. It drops down from the middle and drops down, and then the upper part raises up.
Yeah.
Usually, it's just a piece of glass.
Right.
This whole back section of this thing
like a
goes-
clamshell.
It's like a clamshell, just raises up, and that's how Oldsmobile made it in
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah,
And the crazy part about it is the roof pillars and everything. I guess the A, B, C pillars
Yeah.
all the way back, or maybe even D pillars.
yeah.
Were so thick and so strong that you could just raise the whole back of the deal up. It looks like something that came out of
That's a hard
George
top. So
Barrett's.
it has an A, no B because it's a hard top.
hard top,
C and a D.
and a D. Yeah.
Yeah,
But this thing looks like George Barris
yeah.
did this thing. It's
And
crazy.
it was factory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I love it when somebody takes that old 50 or 60 styling
Mm-hmm.
and turns it into a modern car. Because there's going to be some snafus with it, and you're always going to have a little bit of a problems. I mean, we've got a bunch of right back here is a '57 T-Bird with a late model Mustang motor
Coyote in it?
Coyote in it.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing rides like a brand new car.
Yeah.
And but I love that kind of stuff.
Well, that was interesting too when we were at the last Haggerty event over at Unknown with Mark Motzkowitz talking about there, and they're talking about somebody I think asked the question, will there be a resto mod class in the Concours World? And I think there will.
I think there will eventually. Yeah,
because cars like that, like her Fiesta '88 wagon, cars like the, a Baby Bird with a Coyote in it and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a level of artwork and craftsmanship that goes in this stuff, just like restoring, I don't know, a 330, Ferrari or something.
Exactly. I'm sure I mentioned it here the last little because I've been so proud of it, but we were fortunate enough, and you'll see the picture of it popping up here in just a second, but we were fortunate enough to find a 1966 Shelby Cobra out in San Francisco. And this car is when Carroll Shelby built 427 Cobras, he had AC had built the wide fendered 427 race car.
Right.
And so then they tried to take that body and convert it to a street car. And the problem was with it, when you took the really wide tires off the back, which really weren't suited for the streets, not in 1965.
Right.
Then they put the 7-inch street tires on them.
Oh, yeah.
It really made a big bulged out back fender, and Carroll didn't like that, and so he called up AC Cars in England and asked them to build 32 bodies that had narrow hips on them the rear looked more like a 289 Cobra. And send me those, and I'll put the street tires on those, and we'll call them narrow hip Cobras. Well, they built 32 of them. There's 10 known to exist.
Wow.
And we found one of the 10 in San Francisco. And so the damn car came with a Pebble Beach in-bike.
That's the best.
So, oh my gosh. The car we left it out in California because we didn't want to ship it across the country twice. And Dustin's going with us, and we're gonna be at Pebble Beach in August, and we're gonna have this car on display. You know what's nuts about it is I got the car, and to be a concourse car, you really need all the toolkits and everything.
It's all got to be correct.
The jack, everything's got to be correct. So I've spent the last probably 2-3 weeks locating this stuff. And I met people all over the country. I've got a box that was delivered from New Hampshire yesterday.
Okay.
I've got one that was delivered from Los Angeles 2 days before.
Oh, with unobtainium in it.
All of stuff you couldn't find anywhere else. And dude, I paid $5,000 for a jack.
Oh,
a jack that's about the size of this microphone stand.
Oh, but it's a Shelby jack.
Go find me another one.
Right.
There wasn't one.
Exactly.
But it needed to be in that car.
Right.
And so the nice part about
what I have.
I know what I have. Yeah. So the nice part about it is it'll be in that car forever now because it's that jack for that car.
Right.
And it was an original jack as opposed to these guys had made castings to actually form the castings to build a jack from scratch.
Oh, wow.
So it was, finding this thing, you talk about hunting a piece of tree, talk about hunting a needle in a haystack.
Right.
That was a haystack right there, buddy.
That's part of the fun part of the hobby.
Oh, it's the fun part.
You got to get all those things.
The really unfun part is convincing your wife that you had to spend that much money for that needle in the haystack.
Right. That's all right. It's just parking money.
Oh, it is. It's parking money, baby. That's exactly right.
Parking money.
Parking money. But
yeah, that's cool. Pebble, you guys will have a great time.
Oh, we're gonna have a real and that's such a bucket list thing.
Oh man.
And the funny part about it is
a car in the show, just going. It's a bucket list thing.
A guy that came up to the 10/10s thing with us this weekend is a great friend of mine named Randy Jaffe. Lives in Atlanta, lives just on the north side of Atlanta. And Randy has like one of the 10 best Z car collections in the world. That's kind of how I got to know him because he is such a Z fanatic. And he brought a Jim Fitzgerald 280ZX race car.
Yep.
Up to the 10/10s car show. He didn't win anything, just like me, and because he had a couple of the 24-hour Le Mans cars in his class.
Stiff
competition. So, but the first time I ever met Randy was 10 years ago this year.
Okay.
In 2015, we had gone to Pebble Beach 2 times in 15 and 17. I look back through my pictures. I got
Right.
pictures in my phone. 15 and 17, where I met Randy and our other good friend, Mark Lambert, was at Pebble Beach in
Pebble.
2015. So we're actually still going to celebrate our 10th anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm going to be back out there on the lawn. If you
Yeah.
if you had told me 10 years ago, oh, you're coming back here in 10 years, you're going to be on the lawn with a
No.
with a Shelby Cobra. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, right. I didn't have 2 quarters rubbed together.
Right.
It took off everything I had to get out here.
Exactly. Different time.
Yeah, different time, man. So
Yeah.
so
There's a lot going on between now and then, though.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
no kidding,
you know.
no kidding.
Well, Hot Rods and Hops would have been this weekend, right?
Hot Rods and Hops would have been this weekend out at Late Apex.
Yep.
But it's not going to be. It's going to be moved to May because of obviously
Yeah.
the Easter holiday.
And that first one was insane with the helicopter.
Oh, I know.
That flying helicopter in.
Well, and I told Neil this morning. I said, Neil, yeah, you sure you want to lose that momentum? He said, well, there's going to be so many. He said, I'm not so worried about cars showing up as I'm worried about my help showing up. And I said, yeah, I get it. He said,
There's a lot of guys. Thank you, Ray and Dram and the whole crew that volunteers on that thing.
oh, no question.
There are guys that do that just for the passion of being out there and being a part of something.
Yeah. And it's a big storage facility, big parking lot and storage facility. Has one gate at the end. And Neil told me this morning, he said, if somebody fired some firecrackers over there in that corner, he said, how the hell would you get out?
Hey, and we sponsor it too.
Oh, I know.
Right?
I know.
Right,
I mean, we
parking big billboard with our face on it.
Right.
So a lot of people just turn their back and look the other way.
Exactly. Well, I told him this. I said I tried to find that billboard, and I finally moved about 4 people out of the way, and it was right behind him. I said, that didn't work.
Yeah.
We got a new plan coming.
New plan.
So we're in good shape.
That's a good show. And I don't know if you saw that little video Neil put out. Public service announcement, guys. Like, just be cool at car shows.
Yeah.
And it's always the one bad apple or a couple of guys doing burnouts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it really causes problems for the organizers.
What happens is everybody sits up there at the exits with their cameras,
egging them on,
and so they run out there and do a little burnout and make them happy. But never fails, some idiot, usually in a Mustang, will get crazy and ride up into somebody's front yard or hit a building or something like that.
Which didn't happen. And it's cool. I mean, I get it. You make it like a first gear or a second gear pull, but big burnouts and stuff like that, you just don't want to ruin it for everybody.
Exactly.
And there's places you can go do that.
Yeah.
So like Oakboro Cruise In that I've been down to, they have a burnout show at their fall festival.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I mean, I think it's the chief of police and the mayor are the 2 guys running it. It's a small town, right?
Yeah, you can go to jail, but you can do a nice burnout.
You can do a nice burnout right here, right? This is your free pass.
Yeah, it's free pass.
Yeah, there's a time and place for any of that. But it was just so cool that everything that came together, and now the momentum going into spring. We got Sandhills coming up, right?
Yep, got Sandhills coming up, and we got the 4 Wide Nationals coming up.
Yeah.
What's been your? Tell me some great stories from 4 Wide.
Well, I grew up before I turned into a road racing junkie. I was, gasser kind of drag racing kid, loved all that kind of stuff. Been out to 4 Wide. My claim to fame at 4 Wide was at a test and tune with that CTSV I had. And our buddy Tom, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "You really going to make a pass?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to make one pass." And I had such a good time. I came around and
did he?
I got another pass.
Yeah.
I came around the 3rd time. And I'm doing it this time, no traction control. I did a burnout, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Trees going down. Boom, launched the thing, blew the rear diff out of the Cadillac, blew the housing apart, the aluminum housing.
No,
blew the side out of it.
No,
so so that was my final pass.
Yeah, right.
At 4 Wide,
done.
I was done.
You was done.
But what's cool is they've invited Alexander Auto to come out and bring some cars in the rotunda for the 4 Wide. So we're gonna have some of our inventory out there.
Yeah.
Bring a couple of cool pieces, hot rods and drag racing and all that stuff all goes together, man.
I tell you, one of my favorite stories about 4 Wide Nationals. I can't remember what I was doing, but somehow I was either doing our company was either doing some sponsorship to Speedway. Yeah, I got 4 tickets for the 4 Wide Nationals. Or I got 4 tickets, started sitting at the start at the
Yeah.
at the trees or the starting line for the 4 wide nationals. And me and Dustin's 2 older brothers actually went out there, right? And so we're sitting in the stands and we're watching these cars, and these top fuelers would come up, and the funny cars and the rails would come up, and they would that one would in lane 1 would
Yeah.
getting his lights,
Get
in lane
ditched.
2, and so they get down to lane 4, and you would sit there and know that this was coming. You knew it. I mean, you
Yeah.
knew it was going to
Yeah.
scare the hell out of you. You knew it was going to. But that 4th car, when he hit the lights, I mean, this sound is just unbelievable.
The feeling.
The feeling of all that air hitting you,
Yeah.
and you could not make yourself not jump.
Yeah.
I mean, I would sit there going, and I'd be
You
looking.
knew it's coming.
I knew it was coming. Knew it was coming. Knew it. And going to say, okay, this was going. It's going. There's no way you could stop.
Right. Think about the 4 guys in them.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Wow.
I don't know. What's a top fueled dragster make? 10, I mean, how many horsepower?
Like 10 or 15,000.
Okay.
It's
So
crazy.
40, 50,000
Yeah.
horsepower
Yeah, it's nuts.
going at once.
Once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traveling 0 to 300 in 3 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, we're looking forward to being out there. Come find us at Alexander
Yeah.
Auto. We'll be right there in the main road.
And the Sandhills deal coming up, actually that's where you and I became friends.
Yes.
If you remember.
Yeah.
What year was that? You remember? Had to be
13 or
14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14.
But I had a 1963, one of my first collector cars, 1963 Sport Roadster T-Bird.
Yep.
1963 Sport Roadster T-Bird. Beautiful, beautiful car, black or red interior.
Yeah. So
And
was that a 1-year only car? The sports
That
roadster?
no, Sport Roadsters too,
Okay.
62 and 63. And I actually did so much research on them. I know the first 4 digits of the VIN that made it a Sport Roadsters. 289YZ or 2Y89Z. I think it
Okay.
is. And or if it was 62, and it was 389Z if it was a 63 car.
Yeah.
And so I looked around. Well, they only made 1,470 of those cars in 62, but they only made 455 of them in 63. So I knew right away. I didn't, I wasn't no damn head cashier at the Walmart, but I knew pretty.
Right.
I knew I was smart enough to know I wanted the one that made less up.
Right.
And so I got the car, and then up pops this event down at Pinehurst. Pinehurst Golf Course is about an hour from here.
Legendary course.
Legendary course, U.S. Open for years and years and years. And so somebody told me, here's a guy named Brian Barr. You need to call him. He's helping head that deal up out there, and he's on the selection committee.
Mm-hmm.
So I called him up, and that's how you and I first met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a minute ago.
Yeah.
And then that morphed into the Sandhills Motoring Festival.
Yeah,
the Concours,
right. Yeah.
which has a great vibe.
Yeah.
It's like a social district. We were down there last year, running around the Bloody Mary in the
Oh yeah.
cars.
Yeah, they put it out in the middle of town as opposed to having it on the golf course. And he had it on the golf course, and when he started doing those concerts, that got
Yeah.
to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
But he wasn't making no money. I mean, that's
well,
such a bad business plan.
You do it because you love it.
Do it because you love it.
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. H and
Yeah.
Marcus better love what
Yeah,
they're
they
doing.
love what you're doing. Yeah, it
takes
will not show up big on the balance sheet.
No,
No.
it won't.
No, but then a few years after that, and Brian's probably told this story a half a dozen times. I had gotten this car, and I actually bought it from Rick Hendrick. It was a 1968 Shelby GT500 KR convertible.
Mhm.
Okay, now it wasn't just a 60, which they made 500 of. I mean, that was not a big car or big production number, but they'd made just a few of them. But this car was a 4-speed air car, one of 57. I mean, this was a rare bird. I've actually got the picture of it right there. Yeah. We actually, so we go out there, and so they had like a little pre-photo op
Mm-hmm.
set up for it. And
You're
took
You're
it
the
out.
cover car. You're one of the cover cars.
I was
We
one of the
did-
damn cover
Right,
cars.
yeah,
I was
that's
on the magazine. I was on the
It was your car, and Ingram brought something.
and what was the cat with the Isogriffo?
Oh, Darren.
Darren.
And then gosh, I can't place their name, but the really sweet folks that had that brass era car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they had this photographer set up out there, and and they invited this car, and it was a good car. It was a 22,000-mile car,
Mhm.
and it had one repaint. It wasn't concourse by no means, and so it had one repaint. But I thought, well, it'll pick up a little prize, and that'll be kind of cool.
Mhm.
So I bring it out there. Here comes this guy lines up at the end of our group.
They had every it was a Mustang class, and they had every generation of Mustang in there. So
So
you had to include if it's gonna have every generation of Mustang, you gotta
and include a Mustang too, which was the all-time worst car
It was
ever.
a Pinto in a better dress.
Yeah. Pinto with different fenders. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And so this car shows up out the end. Well, it had to be the damn nicest Pinto on the planet.
It was.
Yeah,
It
and-
flat out was. Why you would
Or
spend
the
that money
nicest
on it.
Mustang 2 on the planet. Why you'd spend that much money restoring it, nobody knows.
Right.
But it was the nicest one around. So anyhow, I get nothing for having the 68 KR there. The damn Mustang 2 wins the class. This asshole has thrown that up to me for the last 20 years.
And now I got you repeating the
Oh
story.
my God. Yeah. Now I'm telling you the damn story. No kidding.
Yeah.
But
that was the first and last time I'll ever do French judging like that, where the cars are judged on the 100-point scales in and of themselves.
yeah, right. This is
just-
if it's the nicest one of itself on the planet,
Yeah.
it's got a chance.
Yeah.
And that one was. That one by far the
That was
nicest one.
crazy. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
But what was funny about it after that, I got so mad. I told Brian, I said, I'm taking that car to the guy that's going to restore it.
Best of the best.
The best of the best next week. And I said, I don't care how long it takes, but it will never lose another concourse again. It never did.
Yeah.
Won 7 straight. And
Yeah.
after 2 years with my very good friend Hunter Williard up in Winston-Salem,
Mhm.
he spent 2 years on it, and it never lost again. And then I had a friend from I think I paid Rick Hendrick maybe 170,000. I had another 20 in the restore, or maybe another
Yeah.
30, 35 in the restore, and sold it for 300.
Yeah.
So I actually made money on
Made
it.
money
I
on
actually
it,
got it.
Yeah.
Now, you had a lot to go through, but I got a lot of great stories
Yeah.
with my friend Brian Barr here.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I've got it's not blue, but I've got a white automatic inbound that's a concourse car. It's a Jim Wick restoration.
oh right,
Yeah, so that'll be on our webpage soon.
no kidding.
Yeah, so pretty car, and that's about the ballpark, a little less we're
Yeah.
asking for it.
Yeah,
Non-AC automatic.
yeah,
Your
Yeah.
car was far rarer,
yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah, and when I took that car up there, it's funny because Hunter he has 2 shops. He has one down the street a little ways, and then one which is an old gas station.
Mhm.
And the old gas station is a 3-bay old gas station.
Mhm.
And so at that time, he had 3 GT500 convertibles that he was restored at the same
Oh
time.
wow.
And actually, one of the Shelby restrars come over and told him, said, you should take a picture right there. That will be hard to replicate
Right.
because there's
Yeah,
not
one place.
enough of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're getting done at the same time.
Getting done at the same time, and somebody spending that much
Yeah.
money on it at the same time. But he's one of my good friends, and we talk all the time. And Hunter, when you see this, if I know you're subscribed, so when you see this, I hope you know how much I appreciate you, and
And you're
One-
welcome
one of
for the business.
yeah, you're welcome for the business. Yeah, for Brian. If he hadn't been such a
let's-
picky ass
Let's
that day,
let's talk. They might be a model. We'll have concours, right?
just go around and
Right,
and-
it's
and-
like,
right, yeah, you
fingers
don't wanna,
crossed.
I can tell you guys to fix that. You don't, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Oh man,
But-
there's a lot of shows coming up, man, and we're going to be out and about at them. So
we're
that's
going to
for
be out and about at them. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our golf cart, and I'm going to put a couple of photographers on the back. Brian and I'll be in the front, and we're just going to drive around looking at great cars
and talk
When
to
we-
people.
and talk to people. When we see your car out there, and we want to highlight that car, and we may, one thing that Jay Leno does is he goes out to the Cars and Coffee out in Orange County, and then he'll bring a car into the studio and actually go over it from time
Mhm.
to time, and we're going to do that.
Yeah,
as
do
well.
that too. Not that
Yeah.
you're Jay Leno.
Yeah, because no, we're not Jay Leno, but we're going to do that, and and just kind of celebrate,
Mhm.
how much we love this whole aspect of things,
Yeah.
and then hopefully get to talk to and discuss how much, you people at the cruise-ins and
Mhm.
the hot rods and hops and the barbecues and the car shows everywhere. It seems like everywhere. And the crazy part about it is when you go to a car show, there'll be 3 or 4 flyers like wind up in your seat
Oh, yeah.
of 4 or 5 more coming up,
Yeah. There's
later on.
something going on
Yeah, all
every
every day of the
weekend
week.
all summer.
Yeah, all summer.
It's hard to I mean, there's Kannapolis, right?
Oh
We've got
gosh.
Concord, we've got
Mooresville.
Mooresville,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So it's like
And then you got, downtown Charlotte,
right.
all the ones on the south side of Charlotte.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
traffic
that
cruisers.
the Charlotte one is out in Matthews now
Yeah, yeah,
at the college out there.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
out there, and then they got the Waxhaw Coffee Cruisers, my good
Coffee
buddy
cruisers.
CJ.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
They meet right around the corner from my old house, right
yeah,
there in that
yeah,
Harris Teeter on 16.
yep.
And boy, they put on a show.
That's a really good show.
We got to go down there and
Well,
see
or
that.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
really it's very, very well
yeah,
organized.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
You're talking about Jay, he was in the news this week,
Jay
Leno.
Leno, yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
didn't
and
see it.
that, smog bill for antique cars, that he pushed through with SEMA and the legislature and all that kind of stuff. Because it's difficult to put a late model motor and a hot rod and regulations and all that, and he's made it easier for the car community and the car culture.
Really
Oh, yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah, he was a big part of it.
Easier how?
Yeah. So
Just be able to pass the mission?
just be able to pass emissions and safety things. There's been
Mhm.
people that have been out there going, they need to meet the safety standards. Well, if you're building a Resto Mod 65 Camaro or 65 Mustang or a 67 Camaro, it's impossible.
Yeah,
Structure wasn't engineered
right,
that way.
right.
So, he's been a big proponent for the hobby forever. And it's like, I'm going to call it Leno's Law,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Let me tell you something, the time we spent out there, I mean, he could not have been in a nicer gentleman. I mean,
yeah,
he was such a good guy,
yeah,
and just told us so many great and funny stories, and
yeah.
it's something, I mean, he'll walk on the grass at Pebble Beach and draw a crowd. I mean, he just
This is a
wherever he
great guy.
goes, man.
I met him once at a comedy show here. I was on one of the Barnfield trips. We were supposed to end up there, but I had an emergency and had to come back, so I never had a chance to meet him there. I met him
Right.
at a comedy show after that. But my favorite Jay Leno story is I got tagged to a friend of his to go pick up his Cunningham C3,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
So which was an automatic, and it was over in Tennessee. So
He Jay's Cunningham
yeah,
C3 or okay.
yeah, this is years and years ago. Yeah, I picked up Jay's C3, brought it back here to Charlotte, and then was getting shipped out to California from there. But I was the only guy. I got all these phone calls from the shippers and everything. I was the only guy who could, no, to put it in reverse. It was one of those things you had to like bite your tongue just right, just feel the touch, go back half a smidge,
Right.
and it would go in reverse.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my touch with greatness. I never even met Jay.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. When I had this out at the concourse this weekend, Dustin was helping me some, and we were loading it up here, and we had the trailer up in here. And my problem was I had this little remote control on my electric winch,
Mm-hmm.
and it would snag just a little bit,
Oh,
just stay on, and you let and suddenly it would go off.
right.
So I got it up in the front of the trailer. Well, I needed to reach over to get this one clip or this one hook. And so I hit the button and I forgot about it hanging up. And suddenly the winch is squeezing the car and me up against the front of the trailer. I'm thinking, oh my
boy.
God, I'm going to die right here in
This
this
isn't the
truck.
way I wanted to go.
This is not good.
Oh, man. Yeah.
One thing I'll tell you, folks, please be careful out there when you're moving this old stuff
Okay.
around, and because you never know when a spark is going to jump, or something's not going to act like it should,
That's
and that was the
fair.
case for me.
Yeah,
And
take your eyebrows
yeah,
off or something.
yeah, right.
Well, when I was at the Greensboro auction, right, the neutral safety switches was a 60s idea, right?
Yeah,
And we had my
right.
Cameo pickup. And the
Yeah.
guy had it in gear when they put the jump box on it, and it lurched forward. Thankfully, everybody was standing to the side.
Yeah.
It's
My friend Randy Jaffe, who I told you had brought the Z car to the show this past weekend, he's in Pebble Beach. Okay, they had a whole row of Porsche 917s, that just like Seinfeld tried to start or tried to sell, and this guy is really boisterous, and he's talking about his car and da 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 da, and he opens this crazy door, which,
Mhm.
you know, if you ever seen the roof of those
Oh,
things,
yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a Ford GT door.
Right.
Opens this crazy door so the driver can slip in, slip out. He just stuck his head in and pushed the start button to crank it up so people could hear it run. It was in gear.
Ooh.
The thing fired up, hauled ass down through the golf course. He's being drugged outside of it because he was still outside when he, instead of getting inside, have his feet on the pedal. So he's being drugged outside. He finally reaches up and hits the ignition switch, turns it off. And but Randy and like they're like totally freaking. Had any of them been standing? Anybody
Yeah,
been standing in front of the car?
But yeah.
Yeah, it ran slam over him.
Yeah.
And probably hurt him real bad. So
Yeah.
so like I said, you know, particularly with this old stuff, I mean, there's a reason they have these safety features on all these
Now,
cars.
yeah.
Because of stuff like that happening through the years.
Yeah.
And these manufacturers, hell, they don't want to get sued. You know, they want it to be just as safe as
Yeah.
they possibly can. So,
So yeah, then I'm jumping in my AMG and turning all that stuff off.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so you got to be real careful with this stuff, and always, you know, always have that in mind going forward.
Yeah.
Always have it in mind.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, we've sat here and gabbed for an hour,
Well, yeah.
and
Always goes by quick.
always goes by quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
we really appreciate all you folks joining us.
Yep.
Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. We love to hear your comments. We love to you know, hear you referring us to other people that may get something out of this. You know, we try to come on here and be as informative as we can. Well, our show with Andy Petrie there,
That was good.
that was good times. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Dustin tells me how much he enjoyed just sitting and doing
Yeah.
the audit on that and listening to the stories that had the Petrie. That was very good. Andy, I know if you're out there, we really enjoyed having you. Matt McSwain, you're one of our favorites always, and you guys, and I don't know if you saw
Haggard
it,
boys, they're always good.
those guys are heroes. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Matt McSwain and Andy Petrie were absolutely heroes, and you know, we'll go down as legends in the mountains of North Carolina.
Oh, yeah,
because they
for
were
what they did.
were actually there on the spot and never asked for anything in return. They were always just trying their best to you know, and we're the first ones there.
Yeah, it's a crew chief
nuts.
mentality. What
Mentality.
do we got to do next? Let's get this.
Exactly.
Keep this car out there. Let's fix this problem.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
good guys.
Thank you so much, folks, for hanging with us and listening to our stories that we tell, and we really appreciate you. And we will see you next time around. So just keep on parking money.
Absolutely.